And here are the top 10 tax deductions for DoorDash drivers and how to file DoorDash 1099 taxes step by step. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous if you were to ask me. And if you are doing as terrific as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's convo, I'm going to give you the top 10 tax deductions for DoorDash drivers, whether you're driving for HubGrub or Amazon or DoorDash, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to also help you to understanding how to file DoorDash 1099 taxes step by step. Step number 1, get your paperwork ready. Very important. When I'm talking about paperwork here, I'm talking about everything that will help you know how much you made during the year, how much you spent, and also prove this kind of data to the IRS and also to your state tax authorities. So you want to look for paper receipts. Very important. You want to dig into every corner of your house, in the closet or where you usually put your paperwork. So you want to have paper receipts. Again, we're talking here about income or expenses. Doesn't matter. It has to be a receipt. You can also look for electronic receipts. You want to dig into your email. Normally, you should have a folder where you just direct all your business, all your side hustles, all your emails about your side hustle. You have to direct that email in there. So paper receipts, you want to look for bank statements. So you really want to gather everything. You want to put the bank statement for the last 12 months for the whole year, right? And you also want to do the same thing for credit card statements. Ideally, what you want to do, you want to have a folder on your computer or laptop. Or if you're lucky, if you have an app that sort of categorize everything for you, that's fantastic. Go ahead and do it. So you also want to, if you use an app to track your expenses throughout the year, that's kind of cool to actually dig into that app and have a summary of expenses and income and basically sort of transfer that data into an electronic form. You're going to need that data later on, whether you export that data into the tax preparation software you use if you file online or if you want to file by regular mail. So you need the paper receipts, you need the bank statements, you need the credit card statements, you need the data from the app. You also need to look into an expense spreadsheet. If you are like me, you just love Excel and you want to put everything in your spreadsheet, that's fantastic. Go and grab the data in that file. Do the same thing for a personal or a family budget. If you have a family budget that you track month by month or week by week, you can get that. So the idea here is to gather any document that helps you track expenses and income during the year. And that document can be electronic or paper. Step number 2, I want you to double check the income amount reported on your DoorDash 1099. This is very important. I'm not saying there will be a mistake, but you want to double check. All right. So there are 3 important things here. First thing first, as a dasher, you are an independent contractor, right? We all know that. It might be a side job or a side hustle, but in the end, it just means that DoorDash doesn't automatically withhold taxes from your paycheck. Instead, you need to keep track of how much you owe based on what you have earned working with DoorDash. The key benefit of being an independent contractor is that you are really allowed to deduct lots of business expenses. And I'll talk about that later on, that you have all the expenses that you have in order to do your work. So the more tax deductions you take, the less money you'll pay in taxes, right? Makes sense. Logic here. For many dashers, though, maximizing tax deductions means they pay less in taxes than they would pay as an employee, but they need to keep the paperwork. All right. So the first thing. The second thing is whether you deliver for DoorDash, Amazon Flex, Postmates, or Grubhub, being a self-employed delivery driver can be quite thrilling and liberating. But with the added freedom comes what? more tax liability and responsibility, folks. So from expense tracking to knowing when your quarterly taxes are due, you need to figuring out your DoorDash 1099 taxes can feel overwhelming. And I'm going to explain things to you today. I mean, you have to know, for example, what to do, or else the IRS will come knocking, and nobody wants that. So the third thing you need to really pay attention to here is that if you earn more than $600, that's a key amount, $600 in payments during the last year from the DoorDash app, then you will receive a Form 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation from DoorDash payable, right? And in the past, they would send a 1099 miscellaneous form, but the 1099 NEC is replacing that form as of the year 2020. So the way you receive your 1099 NEC depends on the delivery preference you set in your payable account. So payable will usually send off your 1099 NEC in the mail by January 31st for the previous tax year. So if your information was incorrect or you didn't receive your form in 3 to 5 business days, then you can review your form online in your payable account. Now, folks, keep in mind that the payment information on your 1099 NEC does not include your cash tips. Those are separate. You are still required to report your cash tips. So I'm showing you right now on the screen. You can see here how the new form 1099 NEC looks like. So we have copy B. That's the recipient copy. Then you have copy A that goes to the IRS. And the reason why it's in red here, as you can see on the screen, is because the employer has DoorDash in this case has to file this manually. They have to send this in the mail. They can't actually send it to the IRS electronically. And you also see the copy one, which is sent to your state tax department. Step number 3, I want you to determine if you are behind on your quarterly taxes. Now, have you filed quarterly taxes in the previous year? In other words, in 2020, did you use Form 1040 ES to figure out and pay your estimated taxes? So estimated tax is really the method used to pay tax on income that is not subject to withholding. For example, earnings from self-employment, interest, dividends, rents, alimony, you name it. So being self-employed has a lot of perks. I mean, everybody knows that. So you may get to choose your work hours, who you work with, and where you work. However, working for yourself, as I said before, can be a lot in terms of keeping track of taxes, figuring out when quarterly taxes are due, getting clients, promoting yourself, and managing your workload. So figuring out your taxes can feel like an afterthought, but it shouldn't. All right. So filling your quarterly taxes on time doesn't have to be complicated at all. Now, who pays quarterly taxes? I think I already said that. As a DoorDash driver, you have to pay taxes. You have to pay quarterly taxes. Many new small business owners and freelancers have to pay taxes. The amount varies slightly for corporations. So I'm not going to talk about that here, but if you're a freelancer, as a DoorDash driver, as a dasher, you are a one-person business, you are an independent contractor, or you are classified as a non-employee, then you will most likely go by the $1,000 or more rule. In other words, you file quarterly taxes if you owe the IRS more than $1,000. So if you receive a salary or wage from an employer, then usually the company you work with withholds the proper taxes from your earnings when you file a Form W-4. Now, I'm saying this because a lot of dashers are doing this gig part-time. They're doing this on the side. So they are still employees, and they just doing this on the side. Remember that you don't have to pay estimated quarterly taxes if you didn't have tax liability for the prior year, you were a U.S. citizen or a resident for the entire year, and your last tax year covered a 12-month period. In other words, if you had no income, then it's fine. All right. So we have an entire show that focuses on how to estimate your taxes. And one thing I just want to say is that how much estimated income taxes you have to pay as a dasher depends really on your situation. It's a complicated matter, but all I want to say is that basically your estimation will be a combination of your gross adjusted income, federal, state tax brackets, self-employment tax rate, and any applicable credits. And your federal income tax bracket depends on your income level, right? So state brackets do vary. Some use the federal brackets or they make their own. So the easiest tax rate to figure out is self-employment. And this is also known as FICA, right? So the Federal Insurance Care Act. And this includes really Medicare and Social Security. All right. So one thing I want to say is that if you use Form 1040, you are able to estimate your taxes, your quarterly taxes. You can also use a free estimated tax calculator. There are a lot of them on the internet. Just Google free estimated tax calculator, and you'll get gazillions. They're all good. They're really all good. And know that you will not. The IRS knows that as an independent contractor, as a DoorDash driver, your income will go up and down, right? This is a side gig. So the agency created something called the safe harbor method to protect yourself from penalties. So if you follow this set of rules, then you will not usually get in trouble with the IRS for not paying enough. So you will not receive a penalty if you pay 90% or more of the amount you owe over the 4 payments, when 100% of the previous year's tax bill is paid, if you divide your annual estimated tax into 4 equal parts and pay that estimation. So this works better for taxpayers who have a consistent income as opposed to an income that changes with the seasons, right? And they call this the annualized income installment method. And to do this, you will need to file Form 2210, underpayment of estimated tax by individuals, with your annual return. This will help the IRS know if you underpaid for the prior year. So once you know how much you have to pay, then you need to know when they are due, right? So you can prepare for the deadlines. One thing I really want to say, and this is very important as a dasher, you need to know a lot of stuff about not just filing your taxes once you receive your 1099 NEC, but also the quarterly tax payments. Because those quarterly tax payments, if you don't follow through them, you are actually at risk of paying penalties. I just said that, right? So the estimated tax payments are due. Here are the due dates. We're going to put this on the screen because the IRS wants your estimated payments divided up by 4 times a fiscal year at the bare minimum. So the due dates to file your estimated payments are first quarter, April 15th, second quarter, June 15th, third quarter, September 15th, and fourth quarter, January 15th. And these dates change during the current year of 2020, and they're subject to change in 2021 or even 2022 due to the COVID-19. All right. And so you want to have all your info ready well before your current due date, because the IRS is not forgiven if you miss the deadline. All right. So unless the deadline lands on a weekend or a legal holiday, then the federal government will change the due date to the next business day. And if you miss a quarterly estimated tax payment, you can actually pay as soon as you can. All right. And this is why it's very important as a dasher to have a proper savings plan in place to protect yourself from the IRS and its penalties. It's hefty penalties. All right. So you can have a saving plans for quarterly estimated tax filing. For example, you can actually open a bank account just for taxes. So every quarter or every month, as you get your DoorDash payments, you just automatically maybe send 20% or 25% of that income into that account. You just forget about it, and you have to automate this thing so that you don't really have to worry, and you don't have to say, I just forget. You can also have what really works based on our research is to actually have a monthly transfers to that separate bank account. All right. And to pay quarterly estimated taxes, you actually can use a debit or credit card with the Electronic Federal Tax Payment System, the EFTPS. And this is also known as direct pay. Or you can, even if that's better for you, you can mail in a check, cash, or money order with your quarterly estimates using Form 1040 ES. All right. So before making your payment, you want to check with your local government for their own tax laws. It's very important. Don't forget to check with your state, because each jurisdiction has their own rates, forms, or even due dates. Right? Some states even have no income tax, such as Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. So make sure to consult with the tax agency in your state to make sure you are in compliance with the laws. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks. Welcome back to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. So, step number 1, get your paperwork ready. Step number 2, double check the income amount reported on your 1099 NEC. Step number 3, determine if you are behind on your quarterly taxes. So that I just explained to you was a lengthy conversation, but it is very important. Quarterly taxes play an important role. They play an important role in filing taxes as a dasher. Step number 4, you want to get ready to report your DoorDash 1099 NEC income. So basically, let me talk to you about the DoorDash taxes you have to pay. I've already said that since DoorDash does not withhold your taxable income for you, no matter the amount you make, you have to report the amount to the IRS, right? Pretty clear. You may be wondering what exact taxes you have to pay as a self-employed individual. The answer varies slightly from traditional employees who file a Form W-2 instead of a 1099. So as a dasher, I think now you you're clear on that. You are considered a classified non-employee by the IRS. You're more of a gig economy worker, which gives you added flexibility to choose your hours in the company you work for. But you also have to pay slightly more taxes. That makes sense. So both employees and non-employees have to pay FICA taxes. I already talked about that. So this include Social Security and Medicare taxes, and which as of 2020 totals 15.3%. So the only difference here, and this is a big difference, is that non-employees have to pay the full 15.3%, while employees only pay half, which is 7.65%. So as a self-employed dasher, you are considered by the employer and employee by the IRS, so you pay both portions because you are your own boss. So the good news is that you're allowed to write off the employer portion of your self-employment taxes to help lower your bill when the tax season ends. So the after FICA taxes, you have to pay both federal and state income taxes, and the exact percentages vary depending on your income level, tax bracket, and state. Basically, if you made more money this year or last year for working for Dash, you have to pay more. So to find out the exact tax percentages you owe, you need to use a form Schedule SE, self-employed. All right. And where do you find your Form 1099? And let's just talk about the form tax form 1099 NEC versus 1099K. So if you are a full-time dasher, you may have to wait for a payable to send you a 1099K instead of a 1099 NEC. This is very important. You'll have to file a 1099K instead of a 1099 NEC if you make more than $20,000 in sales and have 200 or more transactions. And this form stands for Payment Card and Third-Party Network Transactions, meaning that payable will send you the 1099K since they settle the transactions on your of your DoorDash sales. There is a slight exception for this rule, however. If you are from Vermont or Massachusetts, then you would receive a 1099K if you made more than $600 in total earnings from deliveries. Now that you know what form you have to file and where you're going to get it, let's just talk a little more about how to lower your tax bill with business write-offs. Okay, folks, here you have it. Let's talk about, you need to know, step number 5, you need to know the top 10 tax write-offs for a DoorDash 1099 independent contractor. So you got to keep a detailed record of all your business expenses if you want to write them off and lower your tax bill. That makes sense, right? Now, this step could not be more important when operating your own DoorDash delivery business. It doesn't matter if you are a full-time hustler or a part-time enthusiast. It doesn't matter. The best way to keep clean bookkeeping is to separate your business expenses and your personal expenses using a separate business bank account or a credit card. It's very important. So and this is kind of important, especially if you want to protect yourself during an IRS audit, this is the best way to go. And the thing here is that you don't always have to open up a separate bank account. If you don't want to do that or deal with the fees from a business credit card, then you can always use a 1099 tax app that automatically separates your personal and business expenses. There are a lot of them there that we have covered on other shows, and they are free. Most are free. So here are the most common business tax deductions for dashers. Number one, your phone and accessories used for work. Every on-demand worker needs a great phone, accessories, and lots of data, right, to get through the day. So the portion of this expenses that is attributable to work is deductible. So phone accessories like a card, a car holder, car charger, and any others that are ordinary and necessary. Those are the key criteria for the IRS: ordinary and necessary. So those accessories that are ordinary and necessary for your delivery job will be deductible. And now here is the catch, folks. Then this is an important catch. You can only deduct the expenses as a percentage of business use. What this means is that if you use your cell phone for work 50% of the time and for personal reasons 50% of the time, you could deduct 50% of the associated cost. This is very important. This can be tough to estimate, especially when it comes to how much phone usage is due to work, but it's probably best to go through your phone records for a typical month, look at how much of your data and phone calls are occurring during work hours, and apply the average to the rest of the year, or even better, to check your phone records every month. All right? So number one, your phone and accessories used for work. Number two, car loan payments. Number three, gas. Number four, car maintenance. Number five, parking fees while working. Number six, tolls when picking up or delivering. Number seven, vehicle depreciation over time. Number eight, car insurance and registration. Number nine, DoorDash commission fees. Number 10, the hot bags and blankets plus courier backpacks. Those are insulated bags and blankets that you use to keep food order warms. They are deductible as an ordinary and necessary business expense. All right. So the thing here is that the same percentage of business use rule applies here. So the IRS can be strict about using business supplies for personal reasons. So if you are in need of a hot bag outside of work, you would do better to have another bag for personal use. Now, I want to talk about something very important here, folks. Very, very important. Self-employed individuals such as DoorDash drivers can deduct their non-commuting business mileage. This includes miles that you drive to your first delivery pickup, between deliveries, and back home at the end of the day. You cannot deduct both mileage and gas at the same time. Let me repeat that. You cannot deduct both standard mileage and gas at the same time. The standard mileage deduction, which is 57.5 cents in 2020 and 56 cents per mile in 2021, is calculated by the IRS to include the average cost of gas, car payments, maintenance, car insurance, and depreciation. So you want to think of it at like a bulk deduction for all of the costs you incur during the year due to using your car. All right. So taking the mileage deduction often means that you can deduct more from your business income than you would if you had deducted all of your actual car expenses. And this is a fun fact, but it's true. This means that you save more in taxes and you don't have to keep track of gas and maintenance receipts along with your mileage log. So very important. If you want to, you can either go with the standard mileage deduction or you can do things piecemeal. And I want to give you a bonus. I want to give you two more tax deductions that you will love as a dasher to reduce your taxes this year. So you have roadside assistance. So fees for AAA or other roadside assistance programs are tax deductible. However, take note of how much of this expense is being used for work. For example, if you use your subscription twice in a year while you're driving for work and once while you're driving for personal reasons, you want to take care to only deduct the portion of the expense that covered you for work. You could use your business mileage log to figure the business non-business mileage ratio for your car and apply that ratio to find the deductible portion of your AAA membership. And the second bonus, the tax deduction that I want to give you is health insurance. All right. So if the IRS allows you to deduct your health insurance premiums if you are self-employed, if you are a dasher, and if you meet a few requirements. So if you are self-employed, in other words, you drive for DoorDash or Uber or Lyft full-time, you have a business profit. So profit means business income minus business expenses. And you are not able to receive health insurance coverage from a spouse or employer. So if you're a taxpayer who meets all of these requirements, you can deduct what you paid for health insurance up to the limit of your business profit. All right, and you can find that the profit on line 31 of your Schedule C. It's very important. And so what that means is that if you get your health insurance through the marketplace and receive, say, a subsidy on your monthly payments, you can only deduct the cost of your bill every month, not the original price of your plan. So it also means that if your net business profit for the year is lower than the total yearly cost of your health insurance premiums, then you can only deduct the amount equal to your business profit. Let me give you an example. Let me break it down for you. Let's say you make $3,000 from driving for DoorDash on the weekends this year and had, say, $500 in business expenses, right? Note, this brings you your AGI to $2,500, right? 3,000 minus 500. So if you pay $3,600 per year for a health insurance plan for you and your family, then you can only deduct $2,500 instead of the whole $3,600. So after you have a detailed record of your tax deductible business expenses, you will need to fill out a form Schedule C, profit and loss from business. So we have it here. You can have on the screen. So you can see on the screen the form. You can see Schedule C. We actually have covered the topic of Schedule C filing on another show, so you might want to double check that. It's very important. You will love it. And we're showing you right now the Schedule C on the screen. This is a snapshot of it, and you can see what it looks like. And this is a very important piece of paperwork for your tax filing. So even if you don't have a business legal entity set up, the IRS automatically will classify you as what's called a sole proprietor. So this basically means your name is the business instead of a separate legal entity. All right. And the thing here is that no matter your business structure, if you are an independent contractor, then you will have to fill Schedule C if you want to lower your tax bill. And some of these expenses are only partially deductible, especially the ones that you also use in your personal life, your cell phone, for example. You're only allowed to deduct the portion of these expenses you use for your job as a delivery driver. Very important. And step number 6, you want to file your DoorDash 1099 taxes before the deadline. Very important. So the quarterly estimated tax due dates are Q1, April 15th, Q2, June 15th, Q3, September 15th, and Q4, January 15th. I've already said that this is for the quarterly tax estimator. And the first step you need to do is to report any numbers. If you fail to pay your quarterly taxes on this due dates, you open yourself up to late fees and IRS penalties. All right. So the same goes if you underpay on your annual or your quarterly taxes. So make sure to save the correct portion of your income. One thing I want to say here is that the first step and the best step is to report this number as your total earnings. If you are working with an accountant or CPA, make sure that he or she has a copy of your 1099 NEC and also information about any tax deductions you like to make. I've already talked to you about the deductions. You have them, the top 10 and the 2 bonuses. All right. You can also use a tax software like TurboTax or TaxAct. So you just go ahead and input your total earnings and any deductions you want to take, and the software will calculate what you will owe for you. And you can do your own taxes. So you will input the number into your Schedule C to report gross earnings on line 1 of your Schedule C. I want you to see right now, on the screen, the Schedule C. We have a snapshot here, and line 1 is gross receipts or sales. Very important. So and then also on the Schedule C, you will mark what expenses you want to claim as deductions. So you see part 1 is income and part 2 is expenses. So from there, you will input your total business profit on the Schedule SC, which will determine how much in taxes you'll pay on your independent income. Step number 7, last but not the least, you want to get ready for your next year's taxes. And as you file this year's taxes and you're getting ready for next year's taxes, it is very important to, I want to quickly go back to what I said earlier. You need to have a savings plans in place for your DoorDash taxes. So whether you have to file your taxes quarterly or annually, You need to save a portion of your income for your taxes. All right. And this is important because then you have peace of mind. You avoid penalties. You can actually go about your business. You can have multiple gigs. You can really spend time making money and not worrying about being penalized by the IRS or getting audited by states or federal tax authorities. So in order to have a saving plan in place, you need to find out the exact dollar amounts you need to save. And, once you have a proper plan in place, you run the risk. If you don't have a proper plan in place, you run the risk of spending some of the money you were supposed to pay in taxes. And so I advise you again to run your income through an estimated tax calculator at least once a month, so that you have no surprises when tax season starts. And again, if you Google quarterly estimated taxes, you'll get a lot of tools. Quarterly tax estimator tool. Just put that in Google. And you also want to use all other tools at your disposal. If you're a dasher, you probably don't have time to focus on technology, but there are a lot of tools out there, right? Filing your own taxes will be easier than you think, but only if you have a proper bookkeeping system in place, such as if you have a 1099 tax app, income and expenses, that tracks income and expenses. That's fantastic. Or if you want to do things the old way, then you can just put everything in an Excel spreadsheet. That's kind of cool too. Whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. You can even actually outsource the whole operation. There are third-party organizations out there that really cater to the gig economy. So they will set up everything for you. You outsource your accounting, you outsource your tax reporting, you outsource your filings, everything. So when you combine this with using free online calculators to help figure out the exact amount you need to pay on 1099 income, your tax filing process will become streamlined without the need of a tax professional. All right, folks. This is it for today's conversation. Thank you so much for your attention. I was talking to you about the top 10 tax deductions for DoorDash drivers and how to file DoorDash 1099 taxes step by step. Let's quickly recap here. So the steps here, you need to get your paperwork ready, double check the income amount reported on your DoorDash 1099. You want to determine if you are behind on your quarterly taxes. You want to get ready to report your DoorDash 1099 net income. You need to know the top 10 tax write-offs for a DoorDash 1099, right? This is very, very important. So if you need to know the top 10 tax write-offs for a DoorDash 1099 independent contractor, you need to file your DoorDash 1099 taxes before the deadline, and you need to get ready for next year's taxes. Now, what are the top 10 deductions for DoorDash drivers? Number 1, your phone and accessories used for work. Number 2, car loan payments. Number 3, gas. Number 4, car maintenance. Number 5, parking fees while working. Number 6, tolls when picking up or delivering. Number 7, vehicle depreciation over time. Number 8, car insurance and registration. Number 9, DoorDash commission fees. Number 10, hot bags and blankets and courier backpacks. And there are 2 bonuses that you might want to think about, 2 bonus tax deductions. You have roadside assistance and health insurance. And as I said, I made a very important disclaimer. You can actually lump deductions such as gas, car maintenance, and insurance into a single deduction called standard mileage. So if you claim the standard mileage, which is 57.5 cents in 2020 per mile, and 56 cents per mile in 2021, then you don't need to actually claim all the other deductions, all the other expenses rather. So it's either you go wholesale with the standard mileage, or you go piecemeal with all the different deductions, all the different expenses. All right, you got the point, right? Thank you so much for today's conversation. I really appreciate it. Happy filing, and I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.